I was kind of leaning in that direction, but it's actually for a different reason because I'm seeing Kevin Owens, I'm seeing Seth Rollins, and I think those two will take the win for SmackDown. And with Kevin Owens being on SmackDown and Braun Strowman being on Raw, he's gonna get ran over by Braun Strowman at least a couple times on the outside of the ring.
Oh yeah, they have a little history there.
It's gonna happen. I don't like how they booked him in that match because he went from KO fighting everyone to not now being afraid of Braun Strowman because he's big, which didn't make any sense. So one other highlight with the Fiend not being included, we might actually get a Firefly Funhouse match against the Undertaker.
Is that all the picks we had, by the way?
That's all. That's the only thing I'm seeing on the card.
Yeah, that's all I see. Yeah, that is it.
Well, the Survivor Series elimination match usually go about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer each.
Yeah. I just thought.
So those segments are going to be long. So that's maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I don't think Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn is going to go very long.
No.
The tag team match will probably go a half hour or more. The Raw one.
Yeah.
Or the Raw and SmackDown one. The women's match, Asuka and Sasha can go for about a half an hour. The short matches, I personally think, are going to be Drew and Roman and Bobby and Sammy.
Yeah, Drew and Roman's not going to last that long. I know. I would say if it goes 20 minutes, that would be a hell of a damn long one for them. So I would say, between 13 to 16 minutes, I would say we tops. Yeah, I guess it is about it. So you better say Firefly Funhouse.
I think I'm still hoping for that. I would love to see a Firefly Funhouse with the Undertaker in the Fiend.
As I told you, I'm fine with that as long as they follow up with the actual match. If you're going to have that being his farewell match, I can't be behind that. But it would be cool to see
it will end, and
Rumble.
This is how. So they go through the funhouse, and they start the match. Undertaker hatches from an egg, and they start the match.
Even that egg hatching.
I see. Okay, please understand my perspective.
I know. I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. It's just funny. That's all.
Because we openly know that he was afraid of that being his thing when he came to WWE.
Absolutely.
Given how the Firefly Funhouse was created and how the Fiend would work, making him come out of the egg would be a mind game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I said I'm all for that match. Definitely am. That's cool. However, it can't. It has to follow up with something else. It has to follow up as being in the ring. Whatever happens, it has to follow up in the ring. That's just.
So, I kind of want to talk about this because I had thought about this earlier today. I want to talk more about the Firefly Funhouse idea here. So,
hang on 1 second, actually. So everybody after listening, we had planned for this being an Undertaker tribute. So the Undertaker tribute's going to start now, in some way, no form or another.
After the Firefly Funhouse thing, because I thought about this pretty in detail, and this is how I would set it up.
All right, so after we'll do the tribute.
So yeah, and Firefly Funhouse starts, and you see like the TV show, like the kids show, and Bray talks about how the Undertaker has been bad because he didn't let. He'll start going into the WrestleMania. He didn't let Bray shine. He didn't let. I wouldn't talk about CM Punk as CM Punk. I would just say he wouldn't let Phil shine. Things like that. Kind of putting Undertaker in this light, right? Because that's what the Firefly Funhouse is about. Then when it starts, you see that Undertaker like trying to go after the Fiend or Bray Wyatt, like he did, like John Cena did at WrestleMania. And he goes into this back area, and you kind of see WCW Saturday Night logos, and you see the Undertaker in his mean Mark Callis gear. And he's just kind of looking around, not understanding what's going on. He goes to climb into the ring. Now it changes, and he's in his old gear, and there's Bruce Pritchard sitting in the corner, dressed as Brother Love, acting scared of the Undertaker. and this is the original Undertaker gear. And then it goes into, and this is because knowing that Kane wants to still kind of be involved. And then you hear My Undertaker, which is a recording from Paul Bearer. Undertaker turns around, and there's Kane in his old gear walking towards the ring. At that point, he kind of doesn't realize what's happening. He gets put into the Mandible Claw. Mandible Claw happens. They change scenery. Now he is the Ministry Undertaker coming out towards the ring, doing the walk, and he sees Mankind in like a boiler area, like he's walking through backstage, heading towards the ring. He sees Mankind back in the corner, ripping out, kind of like pulling out his hair like he did, talking about how he was thrown from the cage and he could have killed him and blah blah blah. He gets into the ring. He hears the American Badass. Now it cuts to, now we have two Undertakers, the Ministry Undertaker in the ring and the Undertaker sitting on a motorcycle revving it up. The Ministry Undertaker turns around, Mandible Claw again. Now he's Big Evil, the more recent Undertaker, and he picks up Bray Wyatt for the tombstone, and Bray Wyatt's just talking. And he goes, "You won't want to do this because I can't save you from your worst fear." He puts him down, grabs him, asks what he's talking about. Mandible Claw, egg shows up in the ring. It breaks open. There's the Undertaker as he is now, coming out of the egg, and then they start the match. Because the reason I think it would be kind of interesting to do it that way is you're talking about big moments for the Undertaker and big characters for the Undertaker and all his wrestling he's done.
I'm fine with that.
Because you're bringing in Kane, you're bringing in Paul Bearer, you're bringing in Brother Love, who brought him into the WWF, and then you can tie it all into Bray.
No, that sounds definitely interesting. It's cool. I have no problem with any of that. I really don't. I just, it'd be interesting if they would do that. I don't know if they would do that for the Rumble, because obviously they might want to put the Fiend in the Rumble match. I don't know when they would do that. I don't want to happen at TLC or a Chamber.
Well, I think because they want to talk about this being Undertaker's farewell. Yeah, it might be a weird way to do a farewell, but if they did this to kind of create a passing of the torch from the Undertaker to the Fiend, it was like a non-match, and then if they want to run like a video package or a thank you taker for the last half hour of the pay-per-view, it would work. It would still work in with each other.
Oh, you mean doing Firefly Funhouse at Survivor Series?
At Survivor Series, after everything. Okay. This being kind of like a lead-in to the thank you taker and a passing of the torch, if you will. I think this would kind of work. Or even, honestly, I would be okay with it being before the Survivor Series and then the thank you after.
I said, the only problem I have with that is that if they do that, they still need to have one more match in the ring. That's
why I'm saying I think there will be a sequence that takes place in the ring, and I think it would be perfect to do it at the end.
I mean, I'm talking about bona fide real match in the ring. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he can do it though. That's my only issue.
I would say leave leave what you did for AJ Styles. I mean, I just don't see a fire. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not gonna be just pissed off if that's what they did, but that's one thing that we're always gonna miss is that we're always gonna miss that one last in-ring match. I think he can pull off something. Maybe he can't pull off what he did years ago, obviously. I don't think maybe, but I don't know. It's just one of those situations of if he feels like he can do it, at least for 10 minutes, even 15 tops. If he can just pull something off, and if he's gonna do it, he can do it with AJ Styles more than anybody else, I believe. And I think he knows that. But,
I actually think of anybody. Well, AJ might be because AJ can bump off of him. The other person I can think he would do fine with is John Cena, because I think John Cena could protect him.
He could, but and they would not be better to have a squash, the 2-minute squash match they did a few years back.
Well, I read about that. The only reason that happened is because Undertaker was needing surgery, and he didn't find out until the week before after hyping the match.
But he wasn't happy about that damn squash match.
No, he wasn't, but he had to do it because there wasn't really nothing much else he could do.
And that's Vince's call. I wasn't Taker's.
Well, it wasn't. I could have swore what I read is that he was due for surgery.
He had surgery. He eventually did, but Vince's call was like, that's what. Anyways, I mean, I get what you're saying. I guess what more is boiling down to is that over anything else, no matter what happens, I just feel like he has to have at least one more in the ring. If not, I mean, I just don't see his last legacy being a Firefly Funhouse. But if it happens, it's fine. It's whatever. It's what it is, and maybe that's what he would want to do, or Vince would want him to do. But
and I think it might come down to is that it might be approached like, look, this is the only way we can know that we can keep you healthy, and this is us wanting to pass the torch to Bray because we need someone else to take your place as the horror character. So now we have this with the Fiend, and don't get me, it would be one of those where it's like, this will be popular. We can still do a 5-minute match at the end ring. But I think this is the best way to protect your legacy and pass the torch at the same time.
Well, if it happens that way, then
and I will tell you. Okay, so you wanted to talk more about Taker. So, were you a big fan of Taker?
Probably in the late '90s is when I started not really a big fan. As a kid, I was like. Obviously, when you're the evil guy, you're not supposed to get cheers for beating up on the baby faces. That's the old way. I know these days it's a little different. Now we have a lot more social media outlets. People be more human, and of course, the secret of wrestling is even more so revealed. But yeah, late '90s, not as much. But still, it's cool. Still, it's cool to see him. It was a little frightening sometimes, especially when his Ministry of Darkness more character. Honestly, that was where it was kind of got really weird. That's the late '90s that I'm talking about. But overall, yeah, I was all right with Taker. He was also a babyface for Love's career too.
Yeah, I only asked because I didn't get involved in wrestling until much later, and I knew a lot of people that were big fans of his. And they would talk about the fact that he's the Ministry, he's the dark character, so on and so forth, which, me being a WCW guy, I'm like, oh, is this like Raven? The part that I kind of became more of a fan of his is actually the American Badass, and it's actually my favorite version of him. Mm-hmm. Even though it doesn't fit the name, and I don't understand why they kept the name Undertaker when he's obviously not a undead zombie anymore. He's a guy riding a motorcycle, but to each his own.
It's I mean, I wouldn't know what else to call him. I mean, I know people always call him or call him Mark Calloway or call me Mark Callis, but I just don't think it would have fit. And to go back to Undertaker's name a few years later, I've been like, he wasn't a big fan of going back to the Undertaker, the Dead Man character, 04. Because, how am I going to go back to this when people have already seen me not dead? So I get his perspective, but it's like it was cool for him to go back to it. I think that was a better idea, if you ask me.
Well, I kind of put that kind of like with Sting, because Sting became the Joker Sting in TNA, but then he became the old Crow Sting again. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of those where Crow Sting and Undertaker, Dead Man Undertaker, kind of transcend the people playing them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think in some ways it's a good thing, I guess, that Taker and Sting didn't wrestle. In some ways it is. I say the reason why I say it for is you have that perhaps the biggest dream match that did not happen. Now people are going to say there was different dream matches too, but yeah, there are. But I think that's the biggest dream match everybody